The economy is completely screwed. We're dead. So you get rid of Netanyahu, you don't change the policy at all. Trump is caught. He has no good military options. The United States needs this agreement more than Iran does. Donald Trump is doing everything in his power to try to derail the talks.
I do want to ask you both about what you think about this sort of turn, like the anti-Israel stuff from Trump and friends this week did have real world effects. I mean, the polls in Israel swung all the way in the opposite direction. I think 46 points in the opposite direction for Trump, bringing him down to his lowest approval rating, I think, ever, or at least since 2023 genocide began. And so that has other repercussions in and of itself. Why do you think that they went so hard this time why do you think Trump specifically went so hard this time against Israel? Just for the feels, for the vibes?
No, I think it was a week ago that, when he signed off on, this last Monday, that he signed off on the memorandum. And that's because, I don't know if it was Chris White or Chris Wright or someone in the intelligence community came in to say, the economy is completely screwed. We're dead. You got to get this reopened. We don't have alternatives. And people say, "Oh, you're being a Cassandra." You made warnings before. Nothing's come of it. I just, I don't make up the numbers. The numbers are what the numbers are. The administration has been actively drawing down the Strategic Petroleum Reserve in order to suppress gasoline prices in the United States. But there is not some magical alternative supply of diesel. And the heavy oil needed to make diesel is largely tied up right now in the Persian Gulf and is not coming out of the Persian Gulf. What is coming out is going largely to China, not the United States and not Europe. Europe is in equally dire straits. So, I think Trump may have finally recognized that he had that Bibi was the problem here. But it's actually Bibi's not the problem, because Bibi goes away. He's still got Naftali Bennett, who's on the supposedly a leftist liberal kind of guy. And he's talking about he's going to be more of a nightmare for Iran than Bibi Netanyahu.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. And he said he wants to do full siege warfare on Gaza. He's ready for full war against Iran by 2027. So you're getting at exactly what one of my fears were. We were spitballing and brainstorming kind of all week about this messaging. And I said the same thing. I said, maybe they're just going to try to scapegoat Bibi. Bibi was the problem. If we can get rid of him and we could continue on with a new Israel. Yeah. Very interesting that when Vance was kind of saying he does say that the Israeli cabinet is attacking Trump. And he specifically calls out the Israeli cabinet. It's very interesting that it's specifically the Israeli cabinet. The problem is the cabinet. The problem is their comments. The problem is the messaging. And then, interestingly enough, Mike Huckabee says this today.
The president says things to people, and he says things to the world. But the one thing that I've always heard him say, always, and that I've always watched him do, is that America has an unbreakable bond with the state of Israel. And I trust that he means what he says.
So all of these things can be true at one time. You can have an unbreakable bond with Israel, but be ready to toss Benjamin Netanyahu in the trash?
Well, yeah, but Netanyahu is irrelevant. It was 60-70% of the Israeli population supports, let's call it, the extermination of the Palestinians and the extermination of Iran. So you get rid of Netanyahu, you don't change the policy at all. That's the problem.
This interesting, the differentiation between, if we can have Naftali Bennett. Even Naftali Bennett says it. He says the best thing that our enemies did was leave Benjamin Netanyahu in charge, or the best thing we did for our enemies was leave Benjamin Netanyahu in charge because we're on a collision course to collapse, kind of presenting himself as the only sort of savior of Israel.
I want to see the Israelis carry out the threat to attack Iranian oil infrastructure. Go ahead, do it. Because Iran will turn around and attack Israeli oil infrastructure. The difference is Iran is 80 times the size of Israel. Iran's got multiple refineries, multiple energy, if you will, targets. Israel's only got like 2. So talk about all Iran has to do is concentrate fire on those 2, and then all of a sudden Israel is out of fuel, out of energy. Yep. That's why I say, okay, keep talking stupid. Go ahead, act on it. See what happens.
Combine that with a strike on a desalination plant. I mean, they are so vulnerable. They really are vulnerable that they could cease to exist as a functional state if this escalates in a matter of weeks.
This is they're caught. Trump is caught. He has no good military options. They've already demonstrated during, up to June 10th, June 11th, that the attempts to open the strait, and they'd go in and bomb targets at Kemsh Island and Sirki, and Bandar Abbas, and on, and they'd hit positions from which missiles are being launched. They would hit communication nodes, radar tower, etc. And then Iran would turn around and just, bomb the dickens out of the United States with missiles, and really causing devastating losses, at least on material side. And that's one thing. Again, that's not being reported in the press, and the administration is suppressing news about that. So, this is like Trump says, "Oh, we're going to come back and bomb you harder." Keep talking, guy. You're going to run out of gas to keep your airplanes in the sky.
True.
Yeah. Trey Yingst, who is he and Barack Ravid are the 2 people who convey Trump's threats to the world. So here he is this morning. This is also while the talks in Switzerland were ongoing.
Switzerland and the threats coming from the Iranian regime. President Trump telling Fox News that the U.S. may take over the strait in the future if they have to and collect tolls. The president described this as the United States being the guardian angel of the Strait of Hormuz and the Middle East. And the president said ultimately that would involve the U.S. taking 20% of the oil that passes through the strait. Remember, this comes in reaction to the Iranians saying they will close the Strait of Hormuz in response to Israeli strikes against Hezbollah in Lebanon. President Trump tells Fox News he spoke with Iranian officials overnight and said, you close it and you won't have a country.
Well, so we're back to threatening Iran. I love this, though. It's like, if you bomb Israel for bombing Hezbollah, we'll take 20% of your oil. How? How does that?
Yeah. Well, not only that, I just asked, hey, Mr. President, are those Iranians you're talking to, are they here in the room with us now? His imaginary conversations at night with Iranians who, we haven't had a direct conversation with Iran maybe until today. The most striking thing, for me, going back to the opening of the show, was that video you showed of the representative of Qatar just dissing Vance.
Yep.
I mean, hello, are the largest U.S. military base in the region is where? Qatar. So that's sending a signal that U.S. may not be welcome much longer in Qatar. Without Al Udeid Air Force Base could be history. And God knows, we've been there it's been big. I was there. I went through there back in May of 2006.
Everybody's
20 years. Yeah, 20 years ago. Of course, I went through the JSOC side of it. So the top secret inside the top secret inside the secret. But
well,
did you eat at the Burger King trailer?
Yep, of course. You always eat at every Burger King, every base I've been to. Every base has a Burger King except my base. The base here doesn't have Burger King. Very interesting. And then through all of this, the Iranian delegation walks out.
Yeah. Well, apparently, again, the threats, the violation, as you pointed out, of the first section of the agreement they go, okay, he's already violated it. We're out.
Exactly.
And, you know, the United States needs this agreement more than Iran does. Because Iran, you know, I've heard some of the craziest stuff. There's some, I guess, on a lot of X channels, they're booting around the concept that China and the United States are secretly conspiring
against Iran.
And conspiring to destroy the dollar. I'm going, you know, where did people come up with this stuff? Donald Trump is doing everything in his power to try to derail the talks right now, joining Bibi Netanyahu in that endeavor. And if the Israelis still foolishly believe that they can control southern Lebanon and vanquish Hezbollah. And the longer they keep at it, the more troops are going to lose. Israel can't afford to lose personnel like they are.
Benjamin Netanyahu said today, we will not be leaving the security zones in Syria, Lebanon, and Gaza. And then Ben-Gvir backed that up by saying he hopes Netanyahu will stand firm against Trump. And he wants to, obviously, Ben-Gvir is also kind of like the Medvedev to Benjamin Netanyahu's Putin, if you will. He's sort of like the crazy person. So he said he wants to bomb all of Lebanon in response. Also, his tweet that went viral yesterday was blocked, saying for every tear a Israeli mother sheds, 1,000 tears should be shed by the Lebanese people. But that brings us to Lebanon and Syria. There's a lot of weird stuff, rumors swirling about what's going on with Jolani, who's saying what? There were rumors before that Jolani and Netanyahu were both invited to Trump's birthday extravaganza, with both of them not going. We had theorized that maybe that would be where they would kind of sort of try to devise these plans to go into Lebanon or try to make Jolani. I mean, we've always said it's pretty clear Jolani will be asked to invade Lebanon when the time comes, because, you know, you have to pay the bill. You don't get to be the king for free. But reports indicate that Jolani denied requests for his forces to confront Hezbollah, and recent rumors suggested that he stated he would invade, but only if the Golan was given back and Israel ceased arming the Druze, which was obviously declined. I don't know if you've noticed, but over the week, ISIS attacks have ramped up. There's been 2 suicide bombings this week, and so have protests. And now, of course, people get excited about protests against Jolani because, you know, we don't really like him. But look at where they are. They're in Idlib. 70% of the protests are concentrated in Idlib, which is where Jolani's stronghold used to be, which is now that vacuum has been filled by someone else backing those puppets up there. Yeah. Do you think there are people obviously sowing discord inside to put pressure on Jolani to eventually invade Lebanon?
Well, they can put pressure, but, you know, what's he going to invade with?
Right.
You know, you've got to have, as you know, both of you know, logistics are the key to an army that's advancing into a foreign territory. So you got to be able to supply. I presume you're moving your forces with armored vehicles as well as tanks. So they require fuel. You just don't pull over to the local gas station and gas up. So the question is, have they pre-positioned supply trucks to do that? No. The food, the ammunition requirements, it's just, you know, the Syrian army can't even defend Syria from within. And here's Trump talking about them invading Lebanon. It's sheer stupidity.